For the New Orleans Saints in this game. We're going to be with you right until this game ends and with all the post-game reaction once it does go final. And we're going to be right back. NFL Game Day highlights presented by Pepsi. Rhett Lewis, Terrell Davis, LaDainian Tomlinson counting down to the end of this Vikings-Saints game. Saints are driving. They are now in Vikings territory, needing a field goal to tie. Remember, Will Lutz has missed a field goal today from about 43 yards. So I'd like to get him a little closer. They're currently at the 47-yard line and now inside the 40 after a Michael Thomas reception. As we also are looking ahead to the final game of Wild Card Weekend. First playoff game for Marshawn Lynch, TD, in some 4 years as he's back with the Seahawks. That'll be one of the storylines.
That's great timing by him coming back.
Yeah, and
postseason.
No, exactly. I mean, Week 17, postseason, let's go. And for the Eagles, LT, they're going to miss Lane Johnson, Brandon Brooks on the right side of that offensive line. Yeah. But that's kind of been their story all season, right?
Yeah, really
figuring out how to get other players to step up.
Yeah, and fortunately for the Eagles, the Seattle Seahawks are second to last in sacks. So they're going up against a bunch of guys that really don't get to the quarterback. So if you're the Eagles, you really don't have to worry about this great defensive line that you got to worry about blocking all game. And then at the same time, Vitae, the right tackle who's filling in for Lane Johnson.
Right.
He was on the Super Bowl. He started during the Super Bowl team.
Yeah, plenty of experience.
So he has experience, so it's not like they're bringing in a young guy.
And for the sake of fairness, Seahawks also missing starting offensive lineman today. Mike Iupati will not play for them either. Big part of that run game that the Seahawks TD rely on heavily, but one that's,
What run game you talking about? You speak of, Brett?
Well, ever since Chris Carson went down and Rashad Penny, it's been a little bit tougher.
It has been. And you talk about the run game that had those guys who were part of that. Now you bring in Marshawn Lynch, who, listen, I watched him last week. Did he bring some energy? Absolutely. But his production wasn't there. 2.8 yards per rush. He had the one moment where he scored a touchdown jumping over the pile. And then he came in late in the game when they had a chance on the 1 yard line to score a touchdown, but they got that penalty, backed him up, and he wasn't really a factor. So that's what I'd be curious to see with Russell and no run game, how he has to do like Houdini did yesterday, what Russell has up his sleeve, because he's going to need to do a lot to sort of manufacture a run game today.
Mike Garafolo on the scene for us in Philly.
Is that Evander?
Get the champ out.
The champ is here.
By the way, the champ in town because his son, Elijah Holyfield, was signed by the Eagles, but will be inactive for this game.
You guys going to say he's not playing?
Right. Carson Wentz, playoff football, win or go home. Time.
All right.
To go to work.
All right. You said it.
You guys got any early feelings on how this one's going to go?
This was tough for me because I think it's one of those things where you think about the Eagles and how they just are depleted at the wide receiver. You're talking about offensive line.
Yeah.
I know Ertz is probably, I think he's playing, but he's still banged up with that rib.
Yeah, Ertz is active.
You just don't see how they can win. But then you go to the intangibles, right? The team has been hot. They've been grimy. They've been resilient.
It's their calling card.
It's their calling card. Yeah. They're the underdogs, so you feel good about that. And they're at home. But Seattle, they don't have the weapons they used to. So it's a tough one for me to pick. But I think I'm going to lean towards the Eagles in this one.
Yeah, and I agree. I think this is a great matchup for the Eagles for the simple fact that you look at Seattle, they're not playing like they were at the beginning of the season. And there was a question asked on TA a couple of weeks ago about which team needs their back in the playoffs the most.
Right.
And I said Seattle, Chris Carson. And the reason why is because you look at all these teams in the NFC, all of them have weapons at the wide receiver or tight end position that you can go to, that the quarterback can go to. Seattle really doesn't have that number one.
No question. The number one is Zach Ertz, right?
Yeah. So Seattle don't have that luxury, so they have to rely on the run game to keep the chains moving, and so that Russell can make those dynamic plays when it comes time. So I agree with you.
Lockett, they got Lockett. Lockett's good. I know.
But this is his first year as the main guy. He was banged up during the year.
But I think what you're saying too is that they rely so much on that run game to get those guys open.
Yeah, absolutely.
So here, a quick update for you here. Will Lutz lining up for a potential game-tying 49-yard field goal in New Orleans.
It is.
And he's got it. He's got it missed earlier, and now redemption.
Man,
Is that a knuckle
for
ball?
Lutz.
That was
It wasn't
like
the
it-
prettiest,
wasn't
but it
pretty.
went through. Now 2 seconds left on the clock, and we are
Overtime.
tied up at 20. And so are we going to go to overtime on consecutive days?
Why not?
In the NFL playoffs, in the NFL's 100th season. Only fitting, right?
Give the
Plenty of
people
memories.
more.
And we're back with more Game Day highlights next.